Hey, besties. Let's throw some shade, honey. You ready to get into it? Good morning, besties. It's Behind the Shade. Let's talk the Real Housewives of Atlanta. It was season 17. It was their reunion part one last night, baby. And you know, I am not normally a reunion girl. I could care less. It'd be some just too many questions, just all the back and forth. Sometimes they work it out, sometimes that they don't. You know, it's just a ugh, and I don't like it. But last night's episode was good. Like, I don't know. Is it just black girl magic at this point? Because they were arguing, they was doing the back and forth, you know, K Michelle versus Drew, you know, Kelly versus whoever she was, or Portia. You know, it was there. The conflict was there, but it was just they were laughing and they were able to just kiki. I think that's what made it a little different. It was fun. It was funny. And they kind of, you know, went through their things and it was just entertaining nonetheless. Let's get into it, okay? So, you know, they get to the studio and Andy goes and visits some of the girls. So Andy predicts that Portia will leave the reunion in a better place with everyone except for Shamia. Portia said correct. Correct. So then Jarvis brings Kelly some flowers. You know, that's his thing. And we get to see him. Not really up close, but he walked into her dressing room and the camera was a still shot of him. You got to see exactly what he looks like. And he is handsome. And besties, if you saw last night, I posted a shorts and it was a picture of him and her. And so that's him, girl. What do you guys think? Let me know. Is he as fine as Carlos King was hyping him up to be, or is he just average? What do you think? He's okay. He was cool. He was okay. So then the reunion begins. Phaedra sits down with Congressman Jasmine Crockett Honey. Now, Phaedra wants to run for office. That's next on her to do list. She wants to get into politics. I said, okay, Dr. Heavily has encouraged her, I guess, and she feels if she can do it, I can do it. Well, we know Phaedra is smart. She is a smart woman. So kudos to Phaedra. Let's see, girl, because you do need a storyline, honey. You do. You need a storyline, okay? So then Drew says she got a new booty and it's not leaking. That was like a shot towards, you know, K Michelle. And she caught it. We all caught that tea, right? So K Michelle told Drew that her mouth was leaking. So then Pinky Cole tells us, honey, she is having a baby. She first says that she don't want to hear the B word. She don't want to say it no more. And I'm like, girl, did she listen to my recaps? Because, girl, I'm so tired of hearing that bankruptcy word. But she says she going to use that B and turn it, you know, and use it for her baby. And she's due in December. I told you guys that like 2 weeks ago. Then they talk about the pelvic floor thing with Drew and how you get it back with the physical therapy and all the, you know, ting a ling a ling, ting a ling a ling. Okay. So then we get into Black. And so Phaedra asks Drew, does she still want to be chomped on by Black? Because his teeth are big. You know, he got them big veneers, right? And so, you know, Drew gonna keep to her script. They have rehearsed. This is what they're doing. She says she wants to keep building her friendship with him. She loves him. They were all like, nah, girl, you in love. You're in love. And she says, no, I didn't say I was in love. I love him. She's staying 2 toes, 10 toes down for him, but she is, and she gonna sit here and try to tell us that they have not ever done the hanky panky. And no, Drew, I don't believe that. Y'all have. Yes, you guys have. Uh, Andy says that Black is in some legal trouble, and Drew says she is devastated. And then K Michelle gonna say, "Well, that's why I didn't want to be connected to him." And so, honey, Drew said, "Baby, you are connected to him because the woman who is suing him, K Michelle, did an endorsement for her." And so K Michelle says, she doing the back and forth and back again. And honey, she said in that little back and forth, she said that Black is running away from his legal troubles. They said he over there trying to live in Thailand. And so then Andy asked Drew, or no, I think it was Shamia asked Drew, "Are you invested with him?" And Drew said no. And I think that's what I did like about this reunion. It's like, girl, the girls are calling in as viewers asking the other, the castmates questions. Like Drew asked a question to K Michelle or something. And so, like, Shamia's asking a question you would think Andy would ask, but Shamia's asking it. So I'm kind of like, it was entertaining. So, child, K Michelle and Drew, they go back and back again. And then Drew pulls out a clapper board, like cut, the director's cut. And she's like, cut, 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 cut it out. And in this group, we need to just grow up. And so then Kelly says, grow up. She says, well, honey, you need to grow up because you went over there and highlighted my business. Take your own advice. Drew says Kelly came for her singing and her music first. So don't get mad when I pull a you on you. Okay, Kelly? Don't get mad, okay? So then Drew calls Kelly Shakelly. Shamia and Kelly put together like she's her lap dog or whatever. And then Shamia's like, why are you calling her that? She's her own person. So then Kelly calls Drew P. Drewski with a little P. Willie special talking about her new BBL. I said, girl, not the P. Willie special. Why does the P. Willie special sound like a breakfast at some grease spot, little popular hole in the wall in the hood? I want that P. Willie special. The two pieces of bacon, two sausage patties, the hash browns, the grits, and the toast. The P. Willie. So they talking about her butt. And so Portia says, well, Drew always wanted some work done, and she looks dang good. So then Angela and Shamia, they go back and and back again because of what Angela, when she was talking about Shamia's butt, calling it fake and she needs to go get it fixed and all that. So a viewer asked, was Angela jealous of Shamia's body? And Angela was like, girl, if there was a list of me being jealous of people's bodies, Shamia would be down at the bottom. Like there would be a whole bunch of other people she admires more than Shamia's body, okay? And so I was like, okay. So then Shamia says that she only got lipo in her waist. She swear that that butt has been there all this time. No, honey, no, it has not. We all peeped that new booty on episode 1 of this season, honey. We was like, wait, what's going on back there? Oh, wait, hold on. Getting lipo in your waist ain't gonna increase your curve in your butt. Not like that, girl. Shamia, please. So Kelly says she only got her boobs done. That's what she over there saying. And she over there just laugh. Yeah, I only got my boobs done. Yeah, I ain't never had nothing done. What about your teeth? What about teeth is a cosmetic surgery, Kelly. What about the teeth? So then Andy asked, who won the read between Angela and Pinky? Remember when they were, where did they go? Dallas with Cynthia. So, Portia said Angela won, but Pinky had heart. And so then Kelly and Angela, they said they going to stick beside. No, it was must have been Kelly and Shamia, not Angela. Kelly and Shamia said they're going to stick beside Pinky. And that's only because they sitting on the couch with her. That's the friend group over there. K. Michelle, Shamia, Kelly, and Pinky. So they said they're gonna stick beside her. But honey, I will tell you, girl, Angela won. Angela won hands down. Okay, so on to Portia dating Sway. Portia says it feels natural. She loves the touch of a woman. She can be who she is now. Like she feels like there's no competition with this woman. Because, you know, some men will become insecure of your success and kind of feel like it's a competition. They'll get jealous of you, right? And that's a terrible relationship to be in. It is horrible. Because they try to bring you down, you know, talking crazy. They just lash out at you. It's weird, right? Because it's just mixed feelings with them. They seem like they're there. They seem like they're there for you, but then they just say something or do something, and you just, it's just a roller coaster. So Andy asked, how does her mom Diane feel? What does she have to say? And Portia took a pause first, and then she said, you know, she loves this side of me. She was about to cry. And Diane supports them. You know, this is good. And so Andy asked Shamia, like, I know y'all ain't cool right now, but you know, known her the longest. How do you feel where she is now, you know, dating a woman? Shamia says she's happy for Portia. Period. Okay. And then they kind of throw it over there at Drew, and because Drew, she likes the relationship. She said it has inspired her to move on from her divorce because now at this reunion, she is newly divorced from Ralph. So I thought that was a storyline. I used to say they ain't get divorced, honey. Was I wrong? And I'm here to say I was wrong. Okay, they really did get divorced. So they say, and so the other girls are kind of hinting around like Drew's not ready to come out the closet. And maybe that's why she acted like her and Black are just friends. Maybe, hey, we don't know. But we do remember you and Ty Young and all them text messages, girl, on the phone for hours and hours and hours, okay? So her and Ralph are trying to get to a better co-parenting place. She can't talk much about the case because stuff is still going on. But he has primary care of the kids during the school year. You know, because it's been rumored that Drew don't get the kids to school. But I just saw, I think I just saw somewhere where she was getting the kids. It was the first day of school, and the school bus was coming to pick them up. So yeah, okay. She's gonna do better, I believe. Okay. Drew, get acting jobs in Atlanta. I mean, Atlanta is this Hollywood of the South. You don't need to fly to California or wherever. Do it at Tyler Perry's studio. You know, get a gig with Tyler, girl. That should be your goal. And whoever else is in Atlanta, okay? So then a viewer asked if Kelly is jealous of Portia's divorce settlement because she got a better settlement than, you know, Kelly. Kelly doesn't believe she's broke. All the facts are there. She says she has spent over six figures on a divorce and is still tapping out her account. She done lost the business. She didn't have to move, sell, I don't know, lose her house, sell her house, whatever. She keeps swearing up and down that she only moved to Shamia's house for 2 weeks while her house was being built. But you're on the same episode, house hunting. And it could have been all for show. We get that. But Kelly, come on, bruh. Come on. Because what I do know is, I don't know how it is in Atlanta, but if you only needed to be in your house for 2 weeks, you could have stayed in your home that you're selling, and you could have paid rent to the new owners. I'm sure they would have been like, we would have said, can you just give me 2 weeks until my house is finished? I believe that the new owners would have accepted your rent for 2 weeks. I'm just assuming that that could have been, you know, an out, a better way to not have to move from that house to Shamia's for 2 weeks and then move to another home. Where did you get the money from, girl? You've been complaining that you've been in debt with the divorce attorney, and we see that you was grand opening, and 3 months later you was grand closing. But this girl swears she got money and she is balling. Where? How? Honey, the receipts, the math ain't mathing, as the kids say. The math ain't mathing. And so, of course, Kelly is not jealous, honey, and she's telling Portia she living in Simon's house, Simon's house, Simon's house. And Portia's like, yeah, you've been all over the blogs and interviews, and all you say is Simon's house, Simon's house, Simon's house. And so Portia said, "Girl, how you talking about me when you live in Shamia's house?" So Kelly says, I only stayed in her house for 2 weeks until my home was ready. And so she was like, "You're paying all of Simon's bills, girl." And so Portia says, "I'm paying all the bills in the house." And so Portia tells her, which is very profound. I found this to be very profound. She told her, she said, "You shouldn't discredit a woman while you are looking for support." Woo! I said that came out of Portia's throat. Portia getting smart, honey, because she ain't never been the brightest light bulb in the pack, but that was good. And so, here go Kelly. "I'm glad you're paying for Simon's house. And is your name on the house? Is your name on the deed? Is your name on the loan? Is your name on the house?" And she said, "You don't even have a house." "Well, I sold my house." And Portia told her, "Because you had to." I said, wait, what?" So Kelly said, "Girl, give that man back his house." "Girl, get that man back his house." Well, Kelly, knock it off. Simon can't even come back into the country. Okay. And we just know, I just reported it the other day, y'all. Simon and gave her everything. He didn't gave her all his debt. And he say he happy. That's the best flex, that he is debt free now. I'm like, well, you can't come back. You can't own when you where you can't live. You were forced to give Portia all that. So Portia had to let Kelly know, "Honey, I was rewarded that house, honey. I'm living in my house." And then Kelly gonna tell her to say, Kelly gonna say, "Sell the house, sell the house." And it was just a lot of back and forth and back again, child. So then Angela says that Gary is even suing Kelly. And we all like, who is Gary? They didn't even get to it. Who is Gary? Is Gary the next door neighbor that she having issues with? Like, who is Gary? And now, Kelly, you got another lawsuit? But you so rich, honey. You so rich, honey. Uh-huh. Okay. Rich in attitude. So then Andy asked Portia, is she banned from Nigeria? And then you hear a few snickling and giggling talking about, "Yep, she is." And she said, "No, because I am 44% Nigerian, okay?" And so then poor Phaedra was over there talking about, "And we going back, and we going back." So there's that on that. Punks, them heifers up there, over there hating on P. Willie. So Mike Bless is the topic. And as we saw, Portia didn't like him. Portia did not like him. She posted on her Instagram when it was Sway's birthday. uh that's how he found out that she picked Sway and not him. She made her decision, and then she apologized to him on TV right here on the reunion stage. She told Mike she apologizes, but he was coming on a little too strong, talking about he loved her. He was telling his daddy about her. He wants kids, and Portia don't. And that's that on that. So sorry, Mike. So Phaedra's take on Portia's relationship is like, she says she sees love. They go on double dates and all that, and Portia ain't dating nobody broke, so we know that. And so they were like, "Well, who was the fourth person?" Phaedra ain't finna say nothing. So I was like, "So she not with the tall guy no more? What was his name? I don't remember, but you remember he was on Married to Medicine, and I think he wasn't he at the table when they was at Portia's house on episode one? I think he was there with Phaedra, right? Was he there? Did I think we've seen him once this season on the show? I want to say, but I don't know, child. So then we find out, honey, that Phaedra has dated Mike also. Child, what? Yes, honey. Yes. And I'm just like, well, what happened? They didn't get into it. I guess it wasn't a match. It wasn't a love connection. So they cool about it because they talked about it, and Phaedra brought it to Portia in the early in the beginning, so it wasn't no big thing. So K Michelle has to bring up how Portia was talking to her ex. Remember the guy Nash from the dating show K Michelle was on? You know, he came into the season to start some mess. Because to this day, Portia is like, it wasn't even that serious. It's okay. Michelle feels like Portia should have mentioned him to her when they were becoming friends and all that. And Portia's like, you know what? She was like, hey, Michelle, you're married. Like, why are you on that? And she said, and second of all, it's not true. And she said, I was really trying to get to know you, K Michelle. You brought that up, and it was like, that was like a non factor. And then K Michelle knows that he was just outside noise and lying and stirring the pot. And so Portia brings up K Michelle talking about her in interviews, saying, you know, you was talking about F me and all that. And, you know, what K Michelle gonna do is she gonna react on social media, in interviews and blogs. And it's like, girl, no, that's not how you do reality TV. So Portia asks which K Michelle is she dealing with right now because there's about four of them. And so Portia said, no, it's more than four. And it was just a lot of back and forth and back again. They just talking about nothing. And then Portia's called K Michelle the new girl. You like, you're the new girl. K Michelle said, there ain't nothing new about me. And it was more back and forth and back again. And it's like, okay, K Michelle, we know you're not new to reality TV, but you are new to this cast, Real Housewives of Atlanta. We know you've been on reality TV. You've been on Love and Hip Hop. You had your own spinoff. You did marriage boot camp with your husband, your now husband, and you did that dating show. We know you be on the TV, girl. So there ain't nothing new about K Michelle, honey. So they kept going back and forth and back again. And then Portia just shades K Michelle about her body. And that was like a ooh. And honey, K Michelle told her she needs to close her glory hole. Whoa, not the glory hole. So Portia tells her she has plenty of those. Like K Michelle got plenty of holes in her body. So goodbye on that. Close the chapter, shut up, pretty much. So on to K Michelle. She's the only black woman who has signed to a country label in Nashville, as we know. She and her husband will never ever break up because of cheating, honey. They both have done some things to each other. K. Michelle explains that surgeries do come with repercussions. Like sometimes you just not there, you don't feel like it, and you don't want to. And a lot of the women were agreeing with her, like, yeah, that's true. And so K. Michelle said she ain't letting no strokes break them up, honey. And Andy was concurring because he was talking about, yeah, you know, you sound like a gay couple because, and they were like, what you trying to say? And so he was like, you know, gay men, we're very casual about, you know, doing the do. We're not that high strung about monogamy, I guess. Like, they don't, you know, if you cheat, it's not such a bad thing. And it's like, wait, really? Wait, for real? Huh. And so Shamia tells Drew that she feels like Drew, you know, hurt K Michelle when she said, well, earlier in this on this reunion, she said, well, talking about her butt, and she said, well, at least I'm not leaking, you know. And so Shamia was letting her know that wasn't cool. And like I said earlier, we all knew that was a dig at K Michelle. And so K Michelle said, yeah, it's not cool because right now she said I have one of her butt cheeks has an implant, the other one doesn't. And she says the person who did her butt job is not board certified or anything. Because Andy asked her, did she ever think about suing the doctor? Well, he's not a doctor. And she was aware of that. And he's still in business doing his thing. He does a lot of big celebrities, she said. I was like, oh my goodness. Who? Name them. Name them. Name them. And so, you know, Phaedra said, oh, yeah, it's called the underground silicone injections. And I was like, oh, my goodness. Ooh, they better, whoever's doing it, they better be careful, honey, because they can go to jail. They can go to jail, okay? So then Drew and K Michelle have their back and and back again about their friendship and how they always coming for each other. And so it's very on the surface. Drew said, or K Michelle said that. I don't remember, but Drew says K Michelle came for her the whole season, and she did. Drew, you know, she said, I really wanted to get to know you, K Michelle. And so they were like, well, K Michelle, like, kind of, why are you here? And so K Michelle was pretty much like, I needed to be on the show. I needed to learn how to heal. I also need to learn how to socialize with women and learn how to move forward, is what she said. Phaedra says K Michelle has, PTSD and was triggered a lot in this season from, Love and Hip Hop, I believe, because the those Atlanta girls don't like K Michelle. Remember, she was blacklisted. They don't rock with her, and you can kind of see why. You can see why. So K Michelle says she shouldn't have listened to the outsiders, and she should have got in front of things instead of letting things happen and fall apart. She should have took more. She was taking accountability really. And so Portia tells her like, yeah, because she was excited for her to come on the show, and K Michelle closed up. At first she seemed cool, but then she closed up. And so K Michelle said, yeah, because I was in my head. And then she said, I heard that you ladies were calling bloggers and asking about me. And so, that's when K Michelle goes to her Twitter and do all that Twitter activity. And, that's what she does. That's how she releases her emotions, right? And so Andy told her, well, let me give you some advice because you seem very sensitive about it. And so they bring up how Portia was asking if she had that miscarried. And so, Portia apologized. She said she was being authentic. And, K Michelle apologizes too because she just took it to the left. And, Portia's like, girl, I was being there. I was trying to be supportive. We were there for you when it happened. Like, we was trying to support you. And Portia's like, I've been through that too. So, no, I was not shading you, honey. And so, then that's when Portia says, so wait a minute. When you go to your Twitter, you treating that like a confessional? You doing all your confessionals on your Twitter account? Is that what you're doing? Like you be talking about me? And so Andy was like, yeah. And guess what, K Michelle? My advice to you is don't do that. And so K Michelle was like, okay. So it's clear she'll be coming back. So a viewer asked, does K Michelle think that she rushed into becoming friends with Kelly, Shamia, and Pinky, and didn't give the other women a chance? And so K Michelle was like, I chose Shamia because everyone was bullying her and she needed somebody to ride for her. And so Drew to Shamia. Well, this was a viewer question from Drew to Shamia. That's what I thought was cute. Drew called in and put a question in. So she asked Shamia, what was your intention telling K Michelle that the ladies didn't want to be friends with her? And so Shamia was like, well, ma'am, I wasn't talking about the cast on this show. I'm friends, very good friends with Candy. And there are other women that I'm friends with that don't like K Michelle. And K Michelle said, yeah, the Mean Girls of Atlanta. And so Shamia's friends with those girls. And so now the episode ends. And so when Andy had asked, well, what happened between K Michelle and Shamia, after they went to the event where Drew sung and they went to the restaurant and got into it with Drew and they left, K Michelle and Shamia left. And remember they went out because Shamia was going to meet Candy and her mama came to the club, all that. Something happened between Shamia and K Michelle off camera. And Andy asked him about it, and neither one of them want to say what happened. And so they go back and forth and back again. And Andy puts a pin in it because he says, oh, I think this is going to open up a bigger can of worms. And he ends the episode. And he says, next week, Cynthia will be on stage. And they said, oh, no, not Cynthia being able to sleep in and clock in later. I'm like, well, she's a friend of. Hello. But Bestie, that was the end of episode reunion part one. It was good. I was highly entertained, besties. But you know what you can do for me, right? Go ahead and make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're new here. Welcome, besties. You'll like it here. So like the video, hype me up if you like me, and leave your comments down in the comment section. And I'll comment back, and I'll be back with another recap. Bye, besties.